Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday another pre-release for Minecraft Java Edition 1.13 released. This is pre-release number 6. Sorry about this video being a little bit late. When this version released, I just started a 12-hour drive away from home. I've now set up a temporary studio so I can bring you this video, and I'm going to show you the changes for this version. Let's start with some mob changes. The dolphin treasure finding behavior has been changed. It's now more on parity with the behavior in Bedrock edition. Dolphins also could generate in large amounts with ocean ruin structures, and that also led to them spawning in frozen ocean and deep frozen ocean. Those are now fixed in this version. Dolphins also had some bugs where they would try to pick up items on the land. That's fixed in this version. And dolphins would not save how long they had been out of water, so if you reloaded a world, a dolphin could live on land longer. Fix for shulkers as well in pre-release number 5, the previous one. Shulkers would no longer shoot missiles. Other gameplay fixes. Cartographers didn't unlock Woodland Mansion and Ocean Monument map trades. That's fixed in this version, but from what I've heard, there are bugs preventing the mansions from spawning properly, so there appears there are still bugs to be squashed there. Bubble column bugs. When you placed a magma block on top of a soul sand block or vice versa, then the bubble column would not change direction properly. That's fixed in this version. And observers would detect updates from redstone placed on top of them. That's fixed in this version as well. Shulker boxes could not be opened and sometimes disappeared when mined under certain circumstances. That's fixed in this version. And banners didn't drop as items when broken after unloading. When holding a block and interacting with some items in the world, then the behavior of the UI and the game would be incorrect. That's fixed in this version. If you went into the swimming animation underwater, then you couldn't leave it without leaving the water. That's also fixed in this version. And also underwater, if you used a piece of bone meal on anything, then that would place seagrass on whatever it was that you used it on. Another big visual change in this version. The text rendering of the game has been changed. It now uses TrueType files, and the normal fonts now supports most characters properly. You might have seen weird looking characters from non-English typesets, and that has been fixed in this version. Together with this, a whole slew of bugs have been marked as fixed. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the list is in the changelog in the video description. Other visual fixes. Digging straight down would glitch out the breaking animation. You'd get some Z fighting there. That's fixed in this version. And the end crystal beams didn't have their texture properly. That's fixed in this version. And we spoke earlier about dolphins. Their pectoral fin, that would be their fin on the side of their bodies, had the texture flipped over instead of mirrored. That's also fixed in this version. There was a dark square on top of tall seagrass water blocks, and that's also fixed in this version. World fixes. Fences, glass panes, iron bars, stairs, and melons and pumpkin stems inside of structures would generate with an invalid block state. That's fixed in this version. Torches in mineshafts and strongholds would also generate incorrectly and sometimes not be attached to anything. That's fixed in this version. Magma blocks created inside of underwater structures didn't properly create bubble columns until that chunk was unloaded and reloaded. That's fixed in this version. And then a bunch of upgrade fixes. When upgrading your worlds, Enderman spawn eggs would cause the entire chunk they were in to regenerate, and entities with new IDs would disappear when you upgraded your world. Villager and golem statistics didn't work properly when upgraded, and evoker spawn eggs would disappear when upgrading a world from 1.12.2. Some user interface fixes. You could only scroll the list of superflat preset selection when it had focused. That's fixed in this version. It was possible to create a server in the server list that had both a blank name and a blank IP address. That's fixed in this version. And if you had the world selection screen up and you opened the backup screen, then using the escape key to back out of that would back you all the way to the main menu instead of just to the world screen. And the preparing spawn area string was hard-coded and could not be translated. That's fixed in this version. A couple of changes to the debug screen as well. If you hit F3 and I, that's a new keyboard shortcut, then you now copy the block or entity data that you're looking at to the clipboard. And the debug screen now displays some information about the current TPS, the tick time of the game server as well. New sounds and sound fixes in this version as well. Some new water related sounds have been added, that is, wet grass sounds and coral sounds. Fixes for sounds include picking up lava with an empty bucket would play the water picking up sound rather than the lava picking up sound. And some sound events would no longer play the expected sound, which is fixed in this version. Some advancement fixes in this version. The how did we get here advancement did not require Dolphins Grace. That is fixed in this version, and that is becoming quite the hard advancement to get now. The advancement trigger for breeding animals also did not trigger for breeding turtles. That's fixed in this version. And if you're making a pack with custom advancements in it, then you are no longer able to use damaged items in advancement icons to display different textures in the previous pre-releases, and that is fixed in this one. Speaking of pack makers, commands and pack makers will be interested in some of the following changes. The skip existing chunks function has been removed from the exploration map loot table. The loot table function spreading large stacks would overwrite existing items. That's fixed in this version. And then some fixes for command argument validation. It didn't work for entity IDs in /summon. The autocomplete would override some command history navigation. And scoreboard ranges didn't work properly at the extreme values of the inputs. There's an error in the error message when using invalid items in /replace item. And setting and changing data of signs would create a bunch of unnecessary extra tags, which would cause a slowdown in the game performance. And using /effect to give players an effect would kick them off of a server, and that is fixed in this version. In addition to that, a bunch of stability and performance fixes in this version, taking us one step closer to the release of 1.13. That, according to the latest information publicly available, is now set for late July. That was all of the changes in this version. If you want to try it out, head into your Minecraft launcher, go into the Launch Options tab and enable Snapshots. You'll get a message, make sure you read it and click OK. Then head back to your News tab, where now in the drop-down box next to the play button, you'll have a latest snapshot profile. Select that and start the game to play the latest snapshot or pre-release version, which is currently this one, Minecraft 1.13 pre-release 6. Keep in mind that pre-releases are not as well tested as normal versions, can contain unknown bugs, so make sure you have a backup of your world before playing, or test it on a separate test world. That was all from me for this time. Thank you for watching, my name is slicedlime, and I will see you next time.